Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? Yes, we're starting early tonight. It feels like I haven't talked to you guys and gals in forever, and you might notice a couple things different. So we're going to jump into that as well as what's been going on in the sports landscape, because man, oh man, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, we've had a World Series winner crowned. We've had some iconic coaches step down. We've had an iconic coach pass away, and of course, the football, both NFL and college, has been going on and getting good, because that's the time of year it is. And Brandon, I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about Premier League football. That's for a whole other show. But let's rip the Band-Aid off real quick. Obviously, no 2Ks tonight. He is hiding from deers. And so if you did join to see Mr. 2Ks, I do apologize, but hopefully he will be back here soon. He said he'll be back once he shoots a deer, so he might be back next week. He might be back in, I don't know, January, so who knows. And we are going live for the first time on Twitter. So all my Twitter followers, thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining. The best platform to watch this is on YouTube. So the YouTube fan, thank you so much. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified every time we go live. And for those of you on Facebook, same thing. Head on over to YouTube, even though I do enjoy conversating with you guys and gals. But if you are on Facebook, make sure you click that link so I can see your lovely face, just like this. So it'll show your profile picture and your name instead of just the Facebook user. So it does help out a lot. So yeah, and for those of you that are downloading this on the audio side, I do want to thank you a whole lot. You guys are kind of our bread and butter, kind of the forgotten heroes in this whole thing. So yeah, I hope everything is going well for you and yours this lovely Sunday night. And yeah, if you're coming from the Dallas Philadelphia game, man, oh man, what a finish that was! Woof! I could only imagine if 2Ks was was watching that. Man, he had to be his butthole had to be puckering, Mr. Cowboys fan that he is. But we're going to jump into that and a whole lot more. So let's and guys and gals, go ahead and drop your questions in here or comments. I'll feature you on the show. And it does make a solo show go a little bit easier and a little bit faster, because I guarantee you probably don't want to hear me ramble on for an hour or more. So let's jump into it. Let's go to the news. Ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned, we haven't even got to the best news yet. Like I said, you might be noticing the different ambiance, if you will. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to Tony and the crew over at Patch and Remington for hosting us for these last couple months. Thank you, because if it wasn't for you, we would not have had a show. But I think we've kind of found a little bit more permanent home. Last week was kind of a little snafu where I was having a little bit of trouble with the internet, and as you can imagine, when you live stream, internet is pretty important. So thank you for having patience with that. And yeah, this lovely cement background probably will be changing here very, very soon, to kind of help make it our own, make it the new studio, the new place. So I haven't talked to the owners to see if they want me to disclose where we're at quite yet. But that being said, regardless if they want any praise, thank you. Thank you for believing in not only me and the show, but kind of for the cause, and thank you for believing in the 2K crew, because you guys are absolutely awesome. And speaking of 2K crew, if you're not in the Facebook group, the Turbo and 2K's 2K crew, you're missing out on a bunch of stuff, because we're going to talk about news right here, and it seems like those cats get the news before my ESPN alert even goes off. So facebook.com/group/2K crew, answer 2 questions, and that'll get you in, just so I know you're not a robot or a spammer, or someone trying to send me $10 million because they're a prince that's trapped somewhere. So we're definitely trying not to do that. I mean, if you guys do want to send me millions of dollars, that's fine. but not if you're a prince. Not if you're a prince or princess trying to escape anything. That's not what we're trying to do. But with that news out of the way, man, we've had some big sports news. We've had some big sports news since we've chatted. I mean, the biggest one is the Rangers are, I almost call them the New York Rangers, even though I'm not a hockey fan. But the Texas Rangers are World Series champions. Big clap it up. I mean, first time in franchise history we have that was kind of, it was a pretty dominant performance, if you ask me. Yes, the Diamondbacks did hang in, and I have a feeling we're going to see this Diamondbacks crew here again moving forward. They have too many young parts. I really think they need to address the pitching and a bat at least. We saw Ketel Marte go on a string of a hitting streak to start out a postseason career that we've never seen before. I mean, he passed folks like the name of Derek Jeter and Manny Ramirez, who, regardless of your fandom, you guys can kind of agree that those are two big names in postseason baseball history. But this Texas Rangers team, they did not lose a game on the road, which is kind of weird to think. You know, we're always talking about, you know, you want to get that number one seed, so not only you get the bye, but you get the home field, you know, throughout. And we saw that time and time again, especially in these playoffs, that really did not matter. It did not matter whatsoever. Excuse me. And we saw the Rangers have just enough pitching. Just enough pitching, yes. Losing Garcia for the last two games, I thought was going to make a bigger impact than what it did. But kudos to them. Kudos to just Texas Ranger fans. I mean, you guys, as a Red Sox fan and being friends with Cubs fans, I know what it's like to go through a playoff drought or World Series drought like this. So, man, oh man. And then to take a step back and think about it, the Rangers did this without Jacob deGrom. I mean, that's huge. That in and of itself is huge. It seemed like, well, if you really want to take a step back, Mets fans, you guys really have to be just furious. Just furious, because not only did you not re-sign deGrom because you thought, oh, well, hell, he's just going to go to another team and get a paycheck. Then you trade Scherzer to, I mean, granted, he didn't have that large of a, to be honest with you, didn't have a really large impact on the whole team, or the team as a whole. So, I mean, it is what it is. But kudos to those guys for having big wins and adding to, you know, with Scherzer adding another ring to that resume. We'll see if he's back next year. Andy, what's up, kid? If I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you had a birthday here recently, so happy birthday to you, my friend. But yeah, and then add on top of that, we didn't even touch on Terry Francona stepping away. Terry Francona retiring, and then once the Astros were kind of eliminated from the playoffs, Dusty Baker steps down. So there's two iconic managers that I think both of them will walk into the Hall of Fame one day. And it seems like that if they retired in the same year, they'll be going in the same class. So I personally think that's awesome. Two very well-deserving and very awesome baseball minds. It's sad to see them go, but you know what? At this point, I think they've deserved it. I really do. I think they deserve it, and it's time to see. All right, well, where do these two franchises go from here? I mean, 2Ks and I have sat up here and said many times that that you can never count out the Guardians because of Tito Francona, and now that he's gone, those are big shoes to fill, because that's a very odd market, because they don't like to spend money. They like to grow their own talent, and they seem to get rid of that talent once it comes to be paycheck time. So definitely a very odd situation. And then you have the Astros, to where I think the Astros, I think it was their seventh ALCS in a row or something crazy like that. So again, Dusty Baker, big shoes to fill, and I mean, hell, he has his winery and everything else going for him. So both of you guys, I bid you adieu. You have earned every single bit of it. And let's tell some news here. We kind of talked about the World Series and kind of jumping out of text here, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and I'm sure that's why a lot of you folks are here. And I'm sure why a lot of people have left, because I haven't talked about it quite yet. But you got to hang with me before I get into the meat and potatoes and everything. And for those of you that have, that have followed us for any amount of time, you know that I am our resident Notre Dame guy. 2Ks is our resident Michigan guy. So I have a feeling there's a lot of people that want. I don't have a feeling. A lot of people have reached out and asked me about my thoughts on the whole Michigan situation. I'm not even going to call it a scandal, which we'll get into. But the whole situation there in Ann Arbor with Connor Stallions, with everything that's going on. And I've written 2 blogs about it. So if you're not subscribed to the blog, go to buyturbobeer.com. Sign up to just click the link, and you will be subscribed to the blog. And while you're there, if you do feel a little froggy and you want to help support the channel financially, buy 2Ks and I a beer, and we'll give you a shout out on next week's show. But this whole thing kind of started out. I get it. I was getting the impression that this was kind of a witch hunt, if you will. You know, this piggybacking the whole buying the kid a cheeseburger thing during the COVID no recruiting thing. I mean, these are little tiny allegations that, in the grand scheme of things, is it going to change anything? Absolutely not. But what I've gathered and what I've seen and what we've all seen, because it's been extremely public, you can't turn on any of the any sports network without anyone talking about it. Let's see. Tanner says Turbo in the dungeon for the time being. Like I said, we're gonna spruce this bitch up here a little bit. And Brant, well, what's up, Brant? How you doing, kid? Haven't seen you in a while. They're all afraid of Michigan, and it's hard to argue that. But what's jumping off the page to me is there's no way all of this can be true, right? There is absolutely no way this can be true. And for someone that is such a non-Michigan football person to have this kind of opinion, I think is rather odd, because you take a look at, down south. In Columbus, everyone is just calling for Jim Harbaugh's head. This happened on his watch. This is completely unacceptable. This, throw the book at him. Give him the death penalty. Get him the hell out of here. I honestly don't think it's quite that, but. And I was kind of waiting to kind of address this, because everything is so hearsay. There's nothing that's been proven. There's nothing that, and even when you go to say, or go to some place and it says, yes, this is proven, can we really believe it? It seems like there's so much stuff, so much hair, so many layers to this onion. It's like, okay, when are we actually going to get to the real thing here? And the main question is, did they really steal these signs? And like my first blog said, and every ex-NFL, ex-college football player that's actually been worth a damn has said, no, I don't see how any of this could be beneficial. Add to that kind of so if it stopped right there, and if it does stop right there, I'm fine with it. I really don't care. I completely understand that it is against the rules, yes. However, these rules were made in like 1994. This is 2023, okay? We are paying athletes, NIL. Why on earth is it illegal to go advanced scout on site, on premise? I honestly thought this was going on the whole time. I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one. And add on to that, I mean, like I said, there's too many things that are completely outlandish that I think has helped stirring the storm with this story. And I've heard it from many other people. If this wasn't Jim Harbaugh and this wasn't the University of Michigan, would it have this many legs? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if you're a Michigan fan, you can kind of put a lot of this blame on Harbaugh because he was the one that called out the NCAA at the beginning of the season, which kind of garnered more attention. Is it right that they're doing it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And there's a whole slew of other things, and to be honest with you, there is, and one thing that before I get into that, Brant says, I'm sure most schools steal signs, but regardless, they still have to make the plays on the field. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are many ex-NFL and ex-college players that say that same sentiment, Brant. I mean, even take pitching, okay? I mean, pitching is one of the most, up until the pitch com, I mean, the most steeled sign of anything in the history of sports. But when you're Randy Johnson and they know a fastball is coming, you still have to hit the fastball. Mariano Rivera threw 95% cutters. He had a whole lot of success with that cutter. So you hit the nail on the head right there, my friend. And I'm honestly taken aback at this whole thing. Now, getting into the next level of the onion is where shit really gets weird, and I'm just like, there's no way possible this is actually real. Okay, and I'm sure most of the folks in the that are watching are indeed Michigan fans, because I did put the title and the thumbnail as such. So this was gonna be kind of the hot button topic here. And what gets me is that the whole, we scouted teams that we thought we might face in the college football playoff, and then sold those videos to opponents coming up to kind of make sure that they weren't able to get in the playoffs. And like I said, I this is one of the reasons why I didn't really want to speak on this, because it just seems too outlandish. And you might be saying, well, Turbo, what in the hell are you talking about? Last year, now this is alleged, obviously. Pat McAfee's taught us to use the word alleged a lot, so thank you, Pat and the boys. I do appreciate it. But when it comes down to the allegation that they scouted Clemson and Alabama, sold those to South Carolina, I believe it was South Carolina. South Carolina's quarterback had played, which I think is Spencer Rattler, right? Am I wrong? But he had mediocre performances, as did the team, up until the last 2 weeks when they played Clemson and Alabama. The quarterback goes off for almost 500 yards in both games, and South Carolina wins both of those games. Now add to that a bunch of, I'm not sure how the number, but some Big Ten coaches reached out to the head coach of TCU and said, hey, you might want to change your signals up, because Harbaugh and the boys over there are pretty darn good at stealing your signals. So they did, or allegedly they did, and won the game. Excuse me. And won the game. So it's shit like that makes me just believe that this whole thing is just completely blown out of proportion and completely unbelievable. But on the other hand, in this day and age, and I mean, this whole Connor Stallions dude is, I mean, I've been told by a very reliable source that there is someone here locally locally in Southwest Michigan that this person, this student's parents told this person they were involved in this, and the family had to hire a lawyer. So after all of this kind of mumbo jumbo or whatever you want to bring about it, like, at least part of this is real because, I mean, journalist Turbo here, which I do none of, has real evidence that, or at least evidence that the family of this student is lawyering up because they went and scouted and went to Big Ten games to do this. So whether that is, I mean, and that really doesn't prove anything, okay? And if they were doing it this year, I mean, heaven forbid, why? There's not a team that they've played that they've needed to do this thus far. I think the tides are going to change once they go against Penn State, but I have a feeling that I would really like to see what that spread is right now, because I'm guessing it's at least Michigan 13.5, 14.5, just because of the way that Ohio State handled them. And sorry, my phone works very slow down here. But yeah, I'm honestly curious. Oh, Michigan 5.5. 5.5 point favorite. All right. So that being said, after all of this, do I still believe that Michigan is one of the best teams in the country? Absolutely. And I wish 2Ks was here to attest to this. I texted him yesterday before the game, and my wife and I were out to dinner, and I was like, "Hey, I just put in a bet. In one of my larger bets, I took the alternate spread on Michigan, 40.5. I honestly thought that they would hang 60, 65 on Purdue, and this would be just a non-contest. Big ups to Purdue for making it more of a game, even though Michigan did win handily. But this was one of those, I'm not going to say get right games, but us against the world. This is the time that Harbaugh brings a team together, and they just smash the other team's dick in. And I honestly thought that's what was going to happen. Kudos for the win, because you were supposed to win that game. Now, moving forward, I'm not sure. Like I said, it's these next 3 weeks are going to be where all of this could just fall apart and just kind of go by the wayside. Let's see, this is from Rich Garrity. It says, happening on multiple levels, the collegiate board, and definitely an attack of U of M. I'll throw the next cheeseburger as well. I'll throw in the next cheeseburger as well. Yeah, it's something that I'm kind of tired of talking about, but since it seems like we're finding out something new every single day, and I don't understand. Yes, Michigan has come out and said something, a little something. We've heard clamorings of a meeting between the Big Ten president and the president, or the ADs or presidents of the Big Ten universities. We've seen that, supposedly. And really, what is it gonna do? What is any of this going to do? And I know that's not the approach to take. Is like, well, they're not going to do anything, so what difference does it make? It really does make a difference. And I think even if the difference is from this season, starting in 2024, and all college football has the same helmets with the transmitters in them that the pros do, I think this is going to force the hand and actually make them do it. And don't give me this line of bullshit that the universities can't afford transmitters in the helmet. Nope, not buying that. Not buying that one bit. Sorry. Nope. Even a program like Western Michigan University, which I'm an alum. I went. I spent my time there. Looking at all the stuff that they have, yes. And And on top of that, especially with Western, they're allowing beer sales at Lawson Hockey Arena. So I guarantee just the alcohol sales from the hockey team will be able to pay for the transmitters in the helmets for the football team. So don't give me that. I mean, we're talking every university, every single university. What are there? 131, 133 teams in D1. Every single one of them can afford transmitters for the helmets. Don't give me this that they're billion-dollar industries. Okay, not buying that. Not buying that, especially when a booster can pay, I don't know how much to get a player on campus. So no, this has to happen. And if this is the straw that breaks the camel's back that makes this happen, then I think none of this would even be a talking point. I mean, this honestly should have been taken care of a long time ago. So if you're looking to blame anyone, blame the NCAA for not making this a rule earlier. And yes, there does need to be some blame handed down to Michigan because, and yes, many other teams have probably done this, are still doing this. However, you were the one that got caught. The smoking gun is always the one that gets caught and gets the punishment. So, and do I think this is going to be a big punishment? I do. I really do. And whether you agree with it or not, I think this is Jim Harbaugh's last year at Michigan. I honestly think because yes, the university gave him a 3-game suspension. The NCAA hasn't done shit yet. The NCAA takes forever to do anything when it comes to punishments and investigations. So in 2025 or 2026, we might actually see what happens with this. I mean, hell, look, Reggie Bush was a member of, I think he might even been with he was with the Saints when he got his Heisman revoked, which free Reggie, give him that shit back. But it took them many years after Reggie Bush was already in the pros to figure out that they were going to take his Heisman away. So do I think this is something that's going to be, handled or adjudicated or penalized this year? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You cannot tell me that that's going to happen. So I guess it's more of I'm sure once 2K comes back on the show, we will talk about it again. That'll probably be it for me until there is some falling out of this, because I'm tired of speculating. I'm tired of talking about it, and I will give my reaction when something comes down. So, Brant says, Lawson lunatics. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure. I'm 100% sure. I went to way more hockey games than I did football games when I was at Western. So I know we talked a little bit about the World Series. We talked about, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, but there was a couple other things here that I did want to touch on that were baseball related. And with the World Series, it is now the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. And Boston Sports Gordo on Twitter says the Boston Red Sox are expected to be heavily considered in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. And this one kind of hit home because I am indeed a Red Sox fan. Now, here's if you are any team expecting to pursue Shohei Ohtani, there's kind of two ways of thinking about this. There's the give him whatever he wants and we want him here. We want him here. He's going to sell jerseys. He's going to sell tickets. We want the Shohei Ohtani show every single day, which I get. I get 100%. I get it. But you're not going to get him on less than a 10-year deal. And he's 30 years old, I believe, as the time we're recording this. I believe he's 30. So you're signing him into his 40, all the way through his 30s up until he's 40. And we've seen that this rigorous pace that he's on cannot be. I mean, this is a second elbow surgery in 4 years, 5 years? At what point do you just say, hey, dude, can we just hit? Can we just hit? And then you're sitting there with a 40, 50, some say $60 million contract for a DH. Yeah, could you potentially put him in the outfield? Sure. Is he a fantastic talent? Absolutely. We've never seen anyone like him before. But could you imagine the GM of insert name of team here that is the one that has to tell Shohei Ohtani that he can't pitch anymore? I know I wouldn't want to be that GM. Not this guy. Not this guy at all. Not this guy at all. So it gets to the point where now if we're talking a 5-year deal, yeah, absolutely. I would overpay for a 5-year deal for Shohei Ohtani. But as far as a 10-year deal, I mean, yes, the Dodgers are going to be in play here. Yes, the Red Sox are going to be in play here. The Yankees are going to be in play. Hell, there's even been rumors that the Padres are going to be in play, even though they had to borrow money to pay their payroll last year. And they're looking to move at least Juan Soto, if not Fernando Tatis Jr. and some of these other contracts, maybe Bogarts, who knows. But it's to the point where, okay, how much is enough? How many $30+ million contracts can you have on the books at one time? Well, I think we're about ready to find out because, like I said, this is a sweepstakes. There's going to be plenty of teams that are throwing their hat into the proverbial ring. Me personally, you can't deny the talent. The guy is electric. He's must watch TV whether he's pitching or hitting. I get it. But at what point do you sacrifice the future of your organization to get that? It's not a sideshow by any means. I'm just trying to think of a better word, a circus, I guess. And yes, you're going to have a very large market that wants to buy your gear because I guarantee the same thing happened with the Angels. How many Ohtani jerseys were sold overseas or across the world? Or hell, even in the United States. And if he does sign with the Dodgers, another huge market in LA that would love him. I guarantee they would love him. I mean, how could you not love him? But at what cost? At what cost? And like I said, I would not want to be the GM that goes down in history saying, Shohei, you're just hitting. You're just hitting. I mean, theoretically, you would want him to make that decision, but I really don't see it. I really don't see it. I did have another baseball thing here. We've had a trade. We've had a trade already. The Tigers trade minor league pitcher Blake Holub to Milwaukee in exchange for Mark Canha. I think that's a very good trade for both sides. Canha had an excellent season last year, and if you're a Tigers fan, you're looking for any kind of pop out of that lineup that you can get. So that's a very good start. Very good start. Well, let's go back to news here because there's a couple things I do want to talk about here. And let's start with this one. USC loses again last night. And RG3 says, watching Caleb, and this is on Twitter as well, watching Caleb Williams sobbing with his family after losing the game will break your heart. This young man pours his heart out for his team every time he plays. Any NFL team would be lucky to have him as their quarterback, and this emotion shows how much this game means to him. And he was also quoted, and I did not pull the tweet, that says, well, after this loss, what are you going to do? I'm going to go home and relax with my dogs. I get that. But I think I'm with Jason Whitlock on this one. He requotes a tweet and says, wow, I see it as the opposite. Undraftable. And I kind of want your thoughts on this 2K crew. I mean, do you think this makes him soft? Do you think this, I mean, we always talk about the killer instinct, you know, the Kobe's, the Jordans, the Aaron Rodgers. Now we're getting Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that killer instinct to close. Now, you could also say that USC kind of set Caleb Williams up for failure because of the fact that they didn't have a single defense. Let's be honest. If you look back at probably most of the games that they played this year, if they would have had one more stop on defense, they'd probably have a couple more wins. Williams would probably still be in the Heisman talk. Are his numbers pretty similar to what he had last year? Absolutely. Absolutely. Are they Heisman worthy? Yep. But the way his team plays, not just his team, the defense plays, is taking him right out of that conversation. Right out of it. Right out of it. So it is, and yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, Brant. He says Caleb Williams is overrated and doesn't have the mentality for the NFL. And here as a Bears fan, it's like, all right, cool. We're going to suck. We're going to get Caleb Williams, and we're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. After all this, I don't know if I want him, especially that dumpster fire that is Chicago. I'm not sure he would be able to handle it. I'm not sure how he'd be able to handle it. Let's see. This was Andy. He says Ohio State bumping to first though, confusing. I can honestly see why Ohio State was, and let's be perfectly honest. Everyone gets so enraged at the first couple lists that come out. I get it. We're all excited. We need vindication. We need to see where our team is. How does our team, their schedule, their record, how do they stack up against everybody else? And let's be honest, you just need to get in the top 4. That's it. And if you really want to dig down the rabbit hole a little deeper, you could say that maybe the committee's trying to kind of fix this a little bit. I mean, you got a number 1 ranked Ohio State loses to a number 3 Michigan. Well, they lost to a number 3 team, and they beat Notre Dame. They beat Penn State. You got to keep them at number 4, right? Right? The Michigan goes to number 1. Georgia goes on, does their thing, and we have one more spot left to fill, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more spot to fill. Team with the, I guess, everybody's got to win out. Let's put it that way. But the conspiracy theory here is that the committee's kind of hoping for a Michigan, Georgia, maybe Ohio State at 3, maybe Alabama at 4. What? Do I agree with that? No, not in the least bit. Not in the least bit. If there's a Pac-12 team that goes undefeated, they deserve that spot. But you can, and again, is this what the committee's sitting there for hours on end doing? Probably not. But you can kind of see how people on the outside are like, hold on. Because it's different if Michigan's 1, Ohio State's 3, Ohio State loses, they're going to fall out. But if they're number 1 and they lose to the number 3, then hey, we can still have them in, right? We can still have them in. This is totally doable. So, like I said, do I believe it? Not at all. But to answer your question, I think it's you just have to be in the Final Four. Doesn't matter what it is now. Michigan, Ohio State are going to play. There's still a whole lot more to be left to uncover throughout all of this. Let's see here. This is from. If you guys actually click that link, like I told you, this would be a lot easier. They have played 2 ranked teams, but they haven't had any substantial wins, in my opinion. They just really haven't stood out. If you want to make that argument, Michigan hasn't played anybody. Do they have statement wins? They have big numbers wins, yeah. But as far as ranked wins, nope. Neither does Georgia. Nope. So it is what it is. And I think they honestly put these lists out for people like me and you to sit here and talk about it and give us something to talk about and debate. That's really what it is. And let's see. This is from Rich Garrity. Williams is a dude that paints his nails to disrespect his opponents and publicizes it to be funny and okay. Not a class act. Talented, but not a future franchise, especially with his character. I agree. Let's see, there's one more here, I think. This is from Andy. I'm a diehard Michigan fan, but I don't think they deserve the number one spot either. Top 5, yes. No, you could honestly make a case for any one of the top 5 teams to be number one. Let's be honest. And I think Michigan is probably the most complete team right now. I mean, you talk about all phases of the game. They have a returning quarterback who went to the playoffs last year. I think they're very, very equipped to make another run, and I honestly think they will. I would be 100% shocked if Michigan does not make the Final Four. And the only way that could happen is if they lose Saturday against Penn State. They're going to beat Maryland. And if they lose to Ohio State. That's the only way that Michigan doesn't make it out. Because let's be honest, there is no way that either Michigan or Ohio State loses in the Big Ten championship, because that West side is completely terrible and awful. So, and yeah, it's thank goodness this is the last year we have to deal with that. Thank goodness that's the last year we have to deal with that. Well, let's do this. Let's talk about a little football here, and it's not the football that you kind of thought we were going to talk about. I did want to give a update on the fantasy football. And let me make this big here real quick. And leading the pack, our one and only Kyle 2K's Kaler, sitting at 7-1, and I believe that's right. Yeah, 7-1, and we have Carl Gearhart sitting at 6-2, I believe, 5-3, sorry, and Matt is 6-2. Not sure how that works out. But let's see here. 6-4. Then it drops off to a bunch of 4-4 teams and 3-5 and 2-6 teams. So there's definitely there's the top 3. Let's put it that way. 2K's at 7-1, Matt at 6-2, Carl at 5-3, and then Jack, Troy, Brett are all 4-4. I'm at 3-5. There's another team at Emily's at 3-5, and then Kayla and Brett are at 2-6. So definitely, there's a lot of time left. And I wanted to say this so I could show this tweet here. And this was a tweet that I just grabbed the photo off of. It says, guy in my league is offering Pollard for CMC, and I get to bang his wife one time. Guy in my league is 3-5, desperate to turn his team around, and needs more consistency at running back. He sent me a text saying he wants CMC, which is Christian McCaffrey, for those of you that don't know. But there's not really anyone on his team I want. I'm currently 7-1 and don't need to make any changes, really. He said I could bang his wife one time if I accept the trade and it goes through. Honestly, it's pretty tempting since she has huge tits and I've always fantasized about her. Is it worth throwing my chances to win the ship out the window for a chance to bang his wife? All I got to say is this is one... I don't think I've ever played in a fantasy football league that's that serious. And I honestly have to say, sorry about it. The bragging rights to me for beating your ass would long overlast the having sex with your wife. So that really wouldn't play with me. But I'm sure there are some folks that it would. I'm sure there's some folks that would. But yeah, I just wanted to share that just because I've never seen anything like that before and thought everybody should. So I guess the moral of the story is, how if you are in fantasy football, how serious is your league? Is your league that serious? I know the Turbo and 2K is not that serious. Nope. Nope. We just have Jeremy that makes asinine trade requests about once a week, and other than that, no one's talking about banging wives or anything. So, I mean, hell, we don't even have a last place finisher kind of punishment. So yeah, we definitely don't take it that serious. Let's see. I think that's all the tweets I have. And with that being said, guys and gals, I think I'm going to get out of here rather early tonight. Like I said, hopefully 2Ks will be back in the saddle next week. Hopefully he, like I said, he's hiding from deers. I've told him that all he has to do is ride shotgun with me for about a week, and you'll see as many of them as you want. And I joke, but I do know how passionate he is about that. So good for him. Good on him. Hopefully he gets one sooner rather than later. Excuse me. So everyone else, let's hope for that so we can get 2Ks back and not just me sitting here rambling. I was going to do a top 5, but it's more fun to do a top 5 with somebody else. So if you guys do have a top 5 suggestion, go ahead and drop it in the comments. We're always more than happy to, adding that segment has been really, really fun. However, it's kind of challenging to come up with new subjects. So we try to keep them sports related, but I think some of the most fun are not sports related. So yeah, go ahead and drop us your suggestions down in the comments. And again, for those of you that have been watching on Twitter, this is our first live video on Twitter. So welcome. We'll be coming to you live every 8 o'clock every Sunday on 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you haven't hit that subscribe, or I guess it's a follow on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. For those of you that are in the 2Ks group, thank you for watching. If you are on the YouTube page, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified every time we go live. Go ahead and drop us a comment. And again, for those of you on the audio side, love each and every one of you to death. We try to make the mundane, whether it's a workout or a drive, a little bit more entertaining. So I do appreciate you taking us with you. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.